Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Hello, Didi. How's it going?
Things are awesome. You know how we know things are awesome?
How you know that things are awesome?
The Bruins destroy the Maple Leafs. This kind of makes every Bruins
It's a good
fan...
season for them, isn't it?
It's a very good season. They had a 3-game skid, but they went to the All-Star break by knocking in the Leafs' teeth in. So everybody's happy, especially in Canada. Raviv, have you recovered from the fact that the 49ers had their teeth kicked in?
Yes, that was an unfortunate event.
That's what happens when you don't have a quarterback. Well, Shanahan decides to continue not...
First, the second, third.
Yeah, exactly. He keeps going with these nobody quarterbacks rather than get Tom Brady. But now it's too late for him.
Yeah. Well, you know, here in California, we appreciate a good challenge. So it just, it was too easy otherwise. So we give it a try.
Yep.
Well, we have with us a great guest from California. Early morning for you. So thanks for joining us, Raviv Levi. Tell us a little bit. You have a long journey in cybersecurity. So, and we've known each other. You worked with Didi. We've met several times. Great to have you with us. Thanks for joining.
Absolutely. And thanks for having me. Just in terms of brief background, I've been in the industry for just a few decades, like everyone else. Been in the US since 2014. Did a bunch of interesting roles at Cisco. Started with the Meraki business, where I initially ran the security, the SD-WAN business, then the Wi-Fi, the switching as well. Led the cloud security team for Cisco Security for a while, then started the first ever strategy and innovation team for Cisco Security, where I led some definition of the longer term strategy with my team, as long as some investments and some acquisition programs that we can't really talk about. But the grand reveal is that I'm no longer with Cisco. Well, I'm not sure when this is going to air, but as of today, I have 1 week left at Cisco, and then I'm embarking on a new road. So very, very excited to
Congratulations.
See what that's gonna bring. Thank you.
And something exciting ahead of us. You willing to share what's going on?
Well, what we see out there today is super, super interesting in terms of security. I'm gonna give you my perspective on security. You can't avoid that, so that's gonna come later on. But
sure.
I just want to say that the environment out there is really an impetus for creating great companies, whether it's by PEs rolling up great assets that are on sale today, or new companies coming up with great ideas, and they just have the time, the quiet, and the clarity to think through and just nail what needs to be done. And I'm seeing experience for me personally across the spectrum. So I'm super excited about that. I'm also supporting quite a few startups. So this is something that I really enjoy doing, just getting more plugged into the industry, something that I couldn't do formally because of conflict of interest, part of Cisco, but now definitely part of my day-to-day, just meeting with entrepreneurs and younger companies, helping them out. This is awesome.
And I think we are both very lucky to get often your advice. And
Yes.
let's plug in that you've been helping us both at Hunters with some advice. Cisco is an investor at the Hunters, at
Cisco is an investor in Ort.
So
I invested in both of you.
Yes.
I invested in both of you. So I literally have, vested interests. You are my legacy. You have to kill it. I want to see, 11 figures exit each.
Looking forward for that. Amen. So you've been in the industry for 2 decades, even a little bit more, smaller companies than big companies, Cisco. What's kind of like the changes that you've seen? What's the trends that are going on? Like, and specifically, it is not an easy year. 2023 started with all those noises around recession, slowdown. What do we see, and what do you think will happen?
Yeah. So let's start with what I think is kind of repeating itself. History never repeats, but it rhymes. My very subjective perspective, I would love to hear what you guys think about that. But as a person that's been looking at and involved in the security space for a few decades, the usual path that I see us humans follow is that we, science, come up with a new and exciting technology, and it's amazing, and it's life-changing. And then a year or 2 years later, oh my God, we forgot about security. And then everyone is rushing in. There's like a dozen companies that are coming in and saying, hey, we're going to solve that, and we're going to fix that. And we all know multiple companies that came out of, hey, we used to take advantage of that, and now we're going to help you fix it, right? So there's a dozen new
from the other side.
Yeah. So there's a dozen new companies fixing the thing with technology. And then what happens? Then it takes a year, maybe 2 years. Oh my God, security is never 100%. Something is going to get in. Okay, so now you have another dozen companies and, detection and response and all of that. So you have new companies. And then a year later, what happens then? Oh my God, I have 10,000 alerts per day. What am I going to do with all those alerts? Tell me what needs to be done. Tell me about automation and help me plug it into something else. And I don't have people, and I need to train people, and and all of that. And then it repeats. And we've seen that with network and network security, and then mobile devices, bring your own device, and endpoint security, and all of that. And now we're seeing that with cloud native and public clouds. And there's a bunch more areas where we see that happen. So in that sense, it almost feels like cheating when I see a new company, especially younger entrepreneurs, that think this is happening. Oh my God, this is happening for the first time, that the world is changing. And I'm like, you're here, you're going to be here, and then you're going to be here. But I think, so let me pause here. I see you guys nodding.
Totally. I think you're so right. Like, technology comes in, everybody understands the gap. So then comes new technology that is developed to protect this thing. Protection is never, it's 100. It's an antivirus. It protects something, So if we take this,
Chris Young, who used to be the head of Cisco security and now is like an EVP somewhere in Microsoft, always said that security is always initially bolted on, but it needs to be built in.
Yeah. So yes, I totally agree. I mean, it's never built in. Then comes the protection layer. Then they built the detection and response to see when things evade the protection or prevention, what happens. And then the alert management, alert reduction, AI on top to make smart decision for human beings, not take care of the alerts. So
and then the economy.
And then the economy. And it's like, what should we reduce, and what's the bloat that we can take out?
A lot of times these security trends also coincide with the trends
in the market.
Because you'll see that the initial growth of firewall came with the growth of the internet, and then it needed to fix itself after the dot-com break. You'll see that a lot of the VPN technology grew until the collapse in 2008 because there was a lot of growth with a lot of things that needed access.
And cloud in the pandemic grew like crazy. And now there is an
optimization.
Yeah.
So you'll see that also indicates to that thread.
It's a cycle. Absolutely. So now we are in kind of the optimization. What do you think? What's the stage that we are at?
Yeah, there's definitely a correction. A bunch of people, myself included, were waiting for a crisis or recession or something to happen in the markets for like 5 years, right? Because someone said that every 7 to 9 years something happens. I can prove it. We had 2000, we had 2008. What more do you need? I mean, human nature is just about, fighting those patterns. So everyone was sitting on their money and waiting for, 2016, 2017 for something to happen. It didn't happen. Then COVID, oh my God, this is what we've been waiting for. No, it didn't happen. So now it's happening.
Boom.
The nice thing about, market behavior and economics is that it's affected by human psychology like nothing else. And the fact that we're expecting something affects on the probability of that something to happen. So that's a long answer to say that I have no idea. And I gave up trying to time the market or to understand what's driving the market, and I just focus on problem solutions and customers these days.
So I'm interested in like your last role at Cisco. You were kind of like part of the think tank that looked at the market, looked at what's outside, what's inside, how to bring innovation in, what innovation you can build. I'm curious, like when you are in a giant like that, how you think about trends and how you decide what's for us to go after. How should we build it ourselves? Should we collaborate with a startup? Like, I want to know how big corporates think about that.
Yeah. So, I've always been kind of an entrepreneur, or someone just yesterday called me an intrapreneur, or, lots of definitions, but I'll tell you what I think. And lots of credit, of course, to my amazing team. But my understanding of where we're at in light of that process that the security industry and the tech industry is always going through is interesting, because I think that we got to a step function, a place in time, an inflection point that is going to really change. Something has to change dramatically in security, and I think that's a great opportunity both for larger companies, corporations, as well as smaller companies, and I'll explain. We saw that process of network security growing from, oh my God, I have a problem, all the way to automation, and then endpoint, and then other things, and then cloud, and all of that. And we mentioned a dozen new companies come up with each phase that we're going through. However, all those new companies that come up would need someone to buy them, someone to use them, someone to be proficient and to get trained on how to do all those kind of things. And, humans are running out. And we have arrived at that point where complexity and the huge amount of vendors that an enterprise customer needs to deal with is really what's causing security incidents and breaches and all of that. So in talking to many dozens of CISOs and customers, I'm learning that unlike 5 years ago, they are less concerned about zero-day vulnerabilities and China or Russia or whomever coming after them, because that's outside of my threat model. If they want to get me, they're going to get me, right? But just help me make sure that attackers don't get in between the cracks, right? So an average a Cisco study, we published that, and an average enterprise customer has today 50 or 60 vendors that they work with.
Yeah.
And some people that I tell them that, they say, oh my God, I have 95. I could have made it with 50. That's amazing. But the problem is that worldwide we have, I think, a deficit of 3 million headcount of tech professionals for security professionals. Next year is going to be more. The year after that
Only
is going
growing.
to be more.
Yep.
So we're at an inflection point where it's not enough for us to do whatever we did before, come up with new companies, a new solution, and sell more products to the same companies, because they don't have the people to deal with that. They don't have a way to make sense out of that.
And the poor people that are there needs to be trained on the 50, 40, 90 solutions that they have, right?
Raviv a little bit in the eye and say that a lot of the big companies, like, so Amazon is the exception because they do a good job of this, but Cisco and Microsoft, they kind of defraud the poor CISO because they tell them, oh, buy from Cisco. We are just one product. No, you're not. You have Meraki and you have FMC, and they don't talk to each other. They actually are not even remotely alike. And then they need to buy the EDR solution that doesn't work with any of these things. So I look like I'm working with one vendor, but I'm actually working with 20 acquisitions. So even that
doesn't solve the problem. It's still
doesn't solve the problem.
Not stitched together and not one UX.
But what I am hearing Raviv saying, which I really like, is when I'm going to refine my sales strategy, and probably give credit to Raviv about this, is try to find which vendor am I kicking out? Because, or how many vendors can I kick out? Because I think this is an interesting aspect. Because one of the things we're talking to is somebody says, oh, but we have CrowdStrike. And I said, but yeah, you have CrowdStrike for identity, but it's a completely different product than their whole suite, and it's going to be integrated by the time that Omri goes to the army. So this is something that we can actually effectively address. What do you think?
Let me even give you one more. As you talk to your CISO or customers, security teams, and you think about the sales pitch, I would just lead with empathy. Those poor people, they need help. They're trying to hire people. There aren't enough people out there. The ones that they're able to talk to, they can't afford. They can't explain to their board what's going on in security because, for most security products, and we can maybe touch on compliance, it's a bit different, trust and compliance, but for most security products, the best outcome is that nothing happens. Now, how can you go to your board and put a price tag on that? Give me $1 million and then nothing happens, or give me $2 million and then nothing happens. So why do we need $1 million more? I mean, it's very, very hard to explain. But if your sales pitch is coming in and saying, let me show you how you can use less people and maintain your security posture, reduce your risk, or how my solution requires less training, you can get people hit the ground running faster, then I think then it gets interesting, right?
Yep.
Yeah, reducing complexity, reducing the redundant work, the work that people don't like, definitely.
Or push down stuff to the less skilled employees, because sometimes they have big support teams that all that support team does is pick up the phone, answers, and send it to somebody that's expensive. Make
the people that they have more efficient, usable, enable them to do higher level work.
The Didi and Lital Show will return in a moment. The Didi and Lital Show is sponsored by ORT. In today's world, identities are the perimeter protecting the organization and are the most exploited vector by attackers. If your security teams are struggling to maintain control of identity management tools, ORT can help. ORT offers a centralized platform for discovering, monitoring, assessing, and remediating identity threats to your business. While most security platforms can take weeks or months to start identifying and remediating risks, with ORT, your security teams can get started in as little as 30 minutes and start securing the identity perimeter immediately. ORT will surface the most critical vulnerabilities and give your security teams the recommended action steps. Start your trial today at ORT.io. That's OORT.io. The Didi and Lital Show is sponsored by Hunters. Hunters is a SaaS platform purpose-built for security operation teams, providing unlimited data ingestion and normalization at a predictable cost. Hunters helps SOC teams mitigate real threats faster and more reliably than SIEM. Visit hunters.ai to learn more.
There's actually a Cisco study that was published last year that shows that you imagine 3 levels of security teams, and you have like the superhero hackers, all of that, and then on the other side you have the entry-level analysts. And they were able to show across thousands of companies that were surveyed that by providing automation and basic tools with artificial intelligence to the lower level teams, got the organization to perform at a level as if they're using the higher level teams, right? So it's all about kind of, I like to think about it like a self-driving vehicle journey. And the more that you can provide there, the better you can help your customer. And just like, self-driving vehicles, there's concern. What am I going to do with that? I mean, I can't really take my hands off the wheel, right? So you need to build trust. So, let's start with cruise control, and then lane assist, and then collision detections and stuff like that. And after 5 or 6 or 10 years, we're going to go to fully autonomous self-driving. But this is the journey that we're on. And the inflection point is not just because of the shortage of people that we have. It's because of the limitations of the human mind, right? I mean, at some point, shit is going to get so complex that no single human would be able to comprehend it. You guys safe over there?
Yeah.
I think producer Dave gave us a blip of. Well, we can get back. I think your point about us trusting automation and letting go is really important. In fact, that once we actually know that the technology is not a black box and we can see what's in it, why it got to the decision that it serves us, I think people have more trust in the algorithm or whatever. I think like early days of automation and all kinds of things, people kind of thought, okay, the robot will do this everything and it's going to just go. I think we all understand we, as human being, even if the box is doing something that is all legit, we're going to trust it only if we can comprehend why it did what it did. And if we have the option, even if we're not going to use it, to override it. I think we all want to know that it's not, yes, the automation is driving a decision, but if I disagree, I have the veto over the machine to go overrule it. And I think that's critical. Like if we want to move to a world of security that will have more automation tools, and Didi and I are in this business, explainability of the models, being very transparent, not giving people like complete black box. I don't think people want to tweak the model that much.
Oh, they want to tweak the model all the time.
I think they think they want to tweak the model.
No, they play around with this. One of the things
that fucks it, right?
Exactly. So that's why Oded and I always kind of give, in our explainability models, we do this is what you did, this is how you tuned the model, and if you would have left us to us, this is what...
So your explainability explain why you shouldn't tweak the...
The explainability explains basically why you shouldn't mess with the model. Which is
I think you're both spot on. This is interesting enough. This is a UX problem that
absolutely
we know the industry knows how to solve. And even more interesting, usually the solution is not to expose what we do in the black box and not to just reveal and provide access to everything, but come up with a very simplistic model of how people should think that those things are working and allow them to access that. If we go back to the car example, so, if you look at the end of the journey, your car may not have windows in the front, like the windshield, it's not going to be there. right? Or you're not going to have a steering wheel. But just by virtue of putting a steering wheel there helps you feel that you're in control. And the mental model, which goes back to, I don't know, Model T vehicles, is that there's something that connects the steering wheel to the wheels, and then you turn, so the whole thing turns. But today it's all about sensors and digital buses and signals. I mean, it doesn't really work like that, but that's how you think about that, right? So it makes sense for users.
Wheel to feel like you're still controlling
it's
it.
not just a fake wheel. It's the ability. If I would have let the data science engineers in Cisco do the explainability of how things work, they would have explained to the customer what happened to the packet. And the person on the other end, brain would go, because awesome that you explained this, but it means nothing to me. I need to understand threat to actor to person. What did that impact? Don't explain to me about packets. Don't explain to me about CPUs or vulnerability. It's like that joke about the engineer that says you're in this location, that location. That doesn't help anybody. You need to tell me how is it related to my day-to-day problem.
Oh, the one with the airplane.
Maybe
I figured out.
I'll tell the joke. So the joke goes, a guy in a hot air balloon gets lost and comes down and says to some person, "Hey, I'm lost and I'm stuck here and I need to get somewhere else. Where am I?" So the person tells him, "Well, you're in this longitude and this latitude, and you're about 50 feet high." So the guy in the balloon says, "Clearly you're an engineer." And he says, "How do you know that?" He says, "You gave me very, very accurate information, but it doesn't solve my problem and I'm still lost." And he says, "You're a manager." And he says, "How do you know that?" He says, "Well, you got yourself into problems. You committed the things you couldn't commit to. And now you're still blaming me." So that's kind of the essence of the engineers and the managers.
I thought it was a different one. I thought it was different.
But it's still very, very accurate towards the precision, the way we communicate of engineers.
But that's really the inflection point, right? So in the old days, it was enough to share what we discovered, and we could assume that the user on the other side is a highly trained security professional with enough time and mental capacity to take the information, the data points, and construct something, understand what's going on, and devise a plan. But what's happening today is that security, it's not the garage geek or the super experienced hacker that is coming after you. There's a SaaS platform for ransomware, right? So people go on the dark web, and you have crime syndications and crime VCs. So people go to crime VCs and say, "Hey, I want to do a ransomware campaign, and this is the plan, and and then the crime lords would invest in them. And those people, they're not even technical. They just, they go, they have the CMO, they have customer success, for crying out loud. They truly do. And then they have the engineer who goes on the dark web and sets up the thing, and they buy the compromised user details, and they get the cloud compute, and they just go at it. So it's a matter of when and not of if, right? So that creates a situation where security, not the incident response piece, but security itself, is being pushed into other products across the organization. It's no longer the problem of a security team. Now it's a problem of the person dealing with the network, and that's SD-WAN, secure SD-WAN, and all of that. And it's the problem of the IT person and the person that's dealing with the endpoints. And it's most definitely the problem of the developers working on cloud native technologies, because the velocity and the CI/CD and everything that we need to deal with these days just to keep up with technology, you can't check for security later. No one is going to do that later. That's why everything has to shift left, right? So that creates a huge change in the way that we need to think about security. Just inflection point again. That's why I'm excited. There's a ton of things that are changing that creates opportunities. Unfortunately, things are going to get worse before they're going to get better, but that's a great opportunity for new companies, right? So you asked me larger versus smaller companies. So new companies help me find ways to get security into non-security use cases, into non-security products, because that's the winning strategy, right? Help me make sure that my users love security. And larger corporations build a freaking platform. You can't be selling things in isolation. Build a freaking platform and make sure that the platform is open and extensible, because you're not going to live there alone. You're going to acquire companies, they're going to live there. You're going to need to collaborate with other companies. There's no other way for security to work in the industry if we don't do those kind of things.
I hope all large vendors listen to this and get this. I don't think it's the manifesto of all of them having an open and kind of agile platform.
So their manifesto is, if you look at security, they had SecureX. If you look at CrowdStrike, they claim,
I'm not just talking Cisco. Anyhow,
no, I'm talking about Microsoft. Microsoft is claiming
multi-cloud support. Yeah,
exactly.
It is like
but
the
what
trend.
happens? But what happens is what Raviv was saying, which I think is really valuable, is to deeply have empathy and understanding of your end user. I'll give you an example from my way of working and why this needs to happen. So Microsoft has this risky user concept, and we talk to one of our customers and we say, look, Microsoft told you that this account was attacked. You can see that this account was very much under attack. Then you said, no, it's okay. Then we see that somebody logged in successfully, even though the CEO is located in this location, even though this, you know what, this is a store, and the store suddenly magically shows up in a completely different location, in a completely different place, logging in and doing things that people do. It's a store, but it's doing stuff that a person does. This is a good indication that this is a problem, but you need to take them through the journey of explaining what is this that they're seeing in the signals in their language. And what happens with a lot of the platforms, that they're still thinking, like Avi was saying, that they're dealing with the level 3 engineer because that's their design partner. So they think that the signals that they can emit are this complex. And they think that if they emit something from system 1, system 2, system 3, and emit it to that level 3 engineer, he can bridge comprehend these three signals and make the decision on their own. Well, in reality, what needs to happen is, and I'm going to pick on Cisco, that if Duo says one thing and Meraki says another thing and AMP says a third thing, Raviv is saying SecureX needs to tell me, do action Y. Don't wait for me to do this. Better yet, trust me, you know what? I'll do the action for you and tell you in hindsight how I fixed it.
And I'll plug in that's why I'm at Hunters, because that's what we do. But,
exactly.
Okay.
So I think we need to ask Raviv, now that he's out, what are your plans for the future?
That's a great question. You know, I've been I haven't announced formally yet, but I haven't been working for a few weeks now, and I've been working about 10 hours a day in not working for Cisco, just meeting with people and helping startups and all of that. I don't think I'm not ready to commit to the next full-time gig yet. So there's a couple of options I'm looking through, but staying plugged in with startups and the ecosystem and the industry is definitely just so refreshing. And you know, I find myself really having fun working with CEOs and founders and building, you know, ideas for differentiation and just go-to-market strategies and all of that. This is a great fun. So I'm enjoying myself doing that while I make up my mind.
I hope you get to travel a little bit. That's
Yeah,
probably
actually,
passion,
I
right?
have. So I have an offsite coming up with one of the companies I'm helping. So they invited me to their leadership offsite and the customer advisory board. And there's another company in Israel. Maybe I'll travel over there over the next couple of months as well. So I do want to take some time off, but it's like something keeps happening. So I'll
Life
get to that.
doesn't
I'll
let
get
you.
to that.
Excellent. Well, we are playing a little game with all our guests. So I want to make sure we have time to play it with you, Raviv.
Okay.
Let's go.
And now Lital and Didi present Prove You're Not a Robot. 3 final authenticating questions for our guest.
So Raviv, if you
I
were...
was concerned for a second. I thought I may need to take off my shirt or something, but
No, you can bring an
It's
extra
not-
shirt if you
not
want.
that kind of a game. Okay.
Not that kind of game.
No.
That kind of game. If you were a security superhero, what would be your name and who would play you in the Hollywood movie? And because you are on Zoom, nobody realizes how tall you are. So you need to you need to think big.
Think big. Interesting. I would go with Thor.
Good.
The blonde.
I don't know. Think big. I'm trying. And, I guess the current cast for the character works for me, so
Okay.
I'll take that.
You're taking Chris Hemsworth.
Well, if I have to,
Nice.
he's gonna need to step up, but life is full of challenges that way. So
You don't see it on camera. It's fine.
Yeah. So next is, what is your favorite hacking, breach, horror story that you've encountered in
The least favorite.
or your least favorite story?
I'm astounded by everything that is social engineering related. It really amazes me, and I go back and forth on the spectrum of, oh my god, this is great, and oh my god, this is horrible. At the end of the day, the human element just determines everything. And we keep talking about technology and all of that, but we're shutting down the windows, and in many cases the door is wide open. And it's just like, you have so much sophisticated technology invested in seeing your cloud posture and what's going on, and creating graphs with artificial intelligence, and understanding where the attackers are moving laterally, and then the attacker just goes to a bar and asks the person for their password.
And it's an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
From the Lepsis group. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Totally.
I will close with a different question than we usually do, because you're going to be retired. How do you waste your time on the internet?
Ooh. Well,
What's your favorite way?
It's not that exciting. Actually, I got into real estate a bit, so I'm reading a lot, just trying to understand. There's a bunch of cool strategies there. I think that we have a lot of inefficiencies in security. Real estate is the same. So maybe a topic for a different show. Different podcast, but it's fascinating. There's a lot of inefficiencies in that market, and a lot of human psychology that goes into play, and that creates opportunities, just like in security. So I'm enjoying myself there for a bit.
That's definitely a topic I'd like to chat with you.
Yes.
For sure. Well, Raviv, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for coming.
Everyone, please rate, review, share the show if you like it. We're here weekly, the Didi and Lital Show, wherever you're getting your podcast. Really appreciate you spending the time with us. If you have questions, if you'd like us to address a topic, please reach out to Didi and Lital. Thanks, Didi. Thanks, Raviv.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.